going down, everybody? Welcome back to another Commander Ad Populum. Commander for the people, by the people, for the people. This is episode 18. My name is Ryan. My voice is all scratchy because I am still riding on extreme sleep deprivation, extreme dehydration, extreme lack of nutrition. My wife thought I was getting sick. I think it's just because the inside of my body is beat up from the abuse from Magic Fest Las Vegas 2019. I'm back and I'm in Studio CCO downstairs in my house, ready to talk about the whole experience. It was a ton of fun. I was just thinking right before I hit record, you know, this was the most fun Magic trip I've ever been on. And this isn't going to be like me going back over the stories of all of the things that I did. Me and Brando and our buddy Joel just did kind of a recap episode for Commander Cookout. This is going to be some more of my own personal experience and talking about some of the people that I had met and the experiences that I had had outside of the Commander Cookout umbrella, so to speak. But before we get into that, big thank you to FusionGamingOnline.com. You can find them in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and they have all of your Magic the Gathering needs. Of course, all of your gaming needs in general. In addition to FusionGamingOnline.com, you can check out themanabase.com where you can find Commander Ad Populum as well as all of Fusion's online sponsored content. So, of course, go and check all of that out. A little bit more business, of course, thank you to all of the Patreons. You can find Commander Ad Populum on patreon.com/CADPopcast. We've got some new patrons to announce. Big shout out to Callum Brown, local supporter. Callum is a avid supporter of my Altered Art cards and the Altered Art tutorial that can be found on the Patreon page. There's going to be a little bit more of that coming out, some more introductory type stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. Big shout out to Chris Lamise, another new patron. Thank you, Chris. Welcome. And Ryan Flannery. I think I'm saying that right. I very much try to get the names correct on Commander Ad Populum. I think Ryan is going to be getting a Commander Cookout nickname on the next episode of Commander Cookout. So big time thanks for supporting me here as well. And I mentioned the Altered Art tutorial videos. There is going to be some more. I've got a little bit more stuff to do to kind of intro how to get yourself into doing some Altered Art stuff. And again, that can all be found on patreon.com/CADPopcast. Pretty much everything is under the whole CADPopcast umbrella now. The Twitter @CADPopcast, Facebook.com/CADPopcast, and on both of those platforms you can of course find a little bit of a summary of each episode. It'll say episode 17 or 18 or whatever number it is, and then it'll give a little bit of a description. And for today we are going to skip the set retrospective. I know for some listeners that is your favorite part of the show, but traveling and the whole Magic Fest Las Vegas experience and what it's done to my body as a result has left me with no time to plan to talk about the next set in our journey through Magic's past. But next week it will be back, and over the next few weeks I'm going to have a few different guests on. I have been speaking with a lot of people that either are pseudo Magic celebrities, other content creators who volunteered their time to be on the show, and I'm very gracious for that, but also some just random people that I ran into in Vegas that are doing good things out in the Magic community, and I would like to share or showcase or build some awareness around what they're doing and their story, because I do think it would be beneficial for the listeners of Commander Ad Populum to either hear their story or, like I said, just to build awareness, because the future guests do have a lot of good things to say. So Magic Fest Las Vegas, let's get into it in a quick sec right after this. Okay, now, newsflash to anybody who knows the Commander Ad Populum recording cycle, which is none of you. I do record the episodes usually a week in advance, and that gives me plenty of time to get them edited, get some notes posted, work with the editor from themanabase.com where the show is hosted. This week is a little bit different because I was in Las Vegas when I'm normally recording the show, so this is the week after Las Vegas. And what a trip. If anybody's ever been to Vegas, that in itself is quite the experience, because it is the world's #1 entertainment destination. So automatically you know you're going and it's going to be a good time. we knew going into it that there was a heat wave. And I mean, it's in the middle of the desert in Nevada, so it's always hot there. But even the locals there said it was hot because it was like 113 or 111 the few days that we were there. For anybody that is outside of the United States, that's like 40 plus degrees. It's crazy hot. And we were walking mostly everywhere. Luckily, some of the people that we were meeting there at our Airbnb did have cars. So Vegas is great. It was hot. Magic Fest experience is great. I know a lot of people that are listening were either at Magic Fest Las Vegas or have been to Magic Fests or Grand Prix, they used to be called in the past, and they know some of the culture that's around it. But I had the thought when I was there, and I talked about this in a future piece of content that's going to come out. I don't want to say too much about it yet because it was a collaborative effort with another creator. I had said that Magic Fests give me the feeling that is familiar to me because it is magic and it is with a bunch of my friends from my local play group that we went down there with, that we traveled with. They give me this feeling of comfort and being with familiar faces, but they also give me this sense of meeting up with family or friends that you don't see very often. Like, you know, that one cousin that you see like once a year at the family reunion or a wedding that you love to see. That's what it reminds me of. So when I meet up with people that I know from out of town, I get that feeling. In addition to that, being at these huge conventions with all these people reminds me of going out and going to like a tailgate party. And that reminds me of my wife, Rebecca. We actually went to a Denver Broncos NFL football game for our honeymoon. That was one of the things that we did after we got married. And we were lucky enough to meet up with this couple on the train who, you know, we just had stuff in common. This gentleman and I worked in the same industry before I did this. And we got to chatting, and they were convinced that their story at the gate for this private exclusive tailgate party that his work was putting on, their story was going to be that Rebecca and I were their family from out of town. It was our honeymoon, and they got us into this private party, you know, with drinks and TVs in the tent, and like the buffet line was so long that it had like a turn in it, and there was free beer all night because it was like this private party. And Magic Fest Vegas, this time in particular, gave me that experience because there was the command zone, like the commander exclusive area where you could sit, and there was more room because it wasn't quite full. So if we needed to move or go to a bigger table that could house like a 5-player game, for example, or if you wanted to sit at your table with just you and your buddy and have something to eat, you could have something to eat because there was table space available, that you didn't have to go and sit with a bunch of strangers at a table that was already full. That is a common thing at these conventions. There's always more people than tables because the reason why you're there, like to play Magic, takes up table space. And then, of course, there was the Commander party on Friday night. That was the same thing. You go in and you get your product, like you get a Commander 2019 deck box, and you just get to go and hang out and meet with friends. And in addition to meeting up, playing Magic, hanging out with friends, there was food and there was booze available. So it felt even more like just a good time tailgate kind of atmosphere. It was a ton of fun. There was a whole ton of other great things going on as well. Not just the Commander area, not just meeting up with other people that I already knew, and not just the Commander party, but because Vegas is the biggest Magic Fest, there is a higher than normal number of vendors there that bring strange or interesting things like old Magic pins or altars, miscut cards, sign cards, right? And of course, Artist Alley is the biggest out of any Magic Fest because Vegas draws the most people. So the artists there come and they sign cards or do doodles on playmats or cards or whatever, right? For a fee, of course, but it's fairly affordable, and it is an excellent way to support the people that make the art for this game that we play. So I got a ton of cards signed because I'm foiling out an EDH deck that is going to be all signed. It's looking pretty good because I got 10 or 12 signatures that I needed for the deck. A couple of the individual experiences that I had at the Magic Fest included meeting people who were getting decks completely signed by content creators. So I got to sign one of the cards in the deck. Meeting people who listened to Commander Ad Populum because they were introduced to the show from a friend or somebody who thought that Commander Ad Populum would help them, which actually is very touching to me because somebody heard my voice and thought that it would help somebody else. And that's how they found out about the show. That means a whole ton. If you've ever recommended the show to anybody, that is so awesome. And I talked to multiple people who are part of programs that collect donations of cards for kids, people who teach kids in after-school programs, keeps them out of trouble, all that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons that I started this. Like, I'm an MTG dad, and some of the future content that's going to be coming out on the Ad Populum channel is going to be about that. When do we introduce kids to Magic and gaming culture, and is it okay to do now? It used to be shunned in the 90s or the 80s or whenever to be a nerd because everybody thought it was just Dungeons and Dragons and living in your parents' basement, right? Granted, some of that stuff is still a reality for a lot of people, but a lot of it is now that everybody that used to do that has grown up in that culture and had kids and is raising them in a society where the gamers are all the computer programming people who have a ton of money now, and we're spending money on this game. It's really driving the economy, not only of Magic, but really we're all adults and we all own houses and pay mortgages to banks and we all pay taxes because we have real people jobs now. So I'm talking about this kind of stuff to a lot of people, and the MTG dads, of course, feel the strongest about it because they're going to be introducing, and moms, sorry, I shouldn't just say dads. I'm a dad, so that's the picture I have in my head, but the MTG parents are going to be introducing the next generation of people to this game. And that's very exciting for me, not to only be a part of with my own family, but to hear other people that are like-minded. And if they don't have kids, and if they're part of, like my good friend Joe that we met, we featured his story on, I think, episode 4, where he works with foster kids. Talked with Joe a lot about introducing kids to Magic, and through Joe, I've met other people who are interested in helping kids through games, and that's very important. So those are the kinds of things that you can do, like the extracurricular things that you can do at these Magic Fests that isn't just playing Magic, isn't just meeting people, it isn't just spending all of your money at the vendors, right? So that's a ton of fun for me and exciting for the channel and me as a content creator and as a person with a family to hear other people's opinions on all that kind of stuff. So listen up on or follow the Commander Ad Populum Twitter account to see when more of that stuff is kind of going to be unveiled in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so, when I can set up hard and fast dates with these other people that are going to be on to talk about that. Other highlights of the trip included being on a live stream, my first live stream ever. Granted, it was hotel Wi-Fi, so it was a little bit choppy. They warned me of that, but MTG Lexicon was kind enough to invite me to their live stream setup, and I did a live stream with my Animar deck, which was fun for me to show it off because it's all painted. And they made fun of me, of course, for the couple cards that aren't painted. And of course, there was some extra Commander Cookout content that we did on the strip, or from our, we had a 12th floor penthouse type suite thing that we rented, and there was 8 or 9 of us in there. Of course, MTG Lexicon and Commander Cookout, not quite as family friendly as Commander Ad Populum, so just note there are some instances of language, foul language that might not be appropriate for kids if you do want to consume any of that. If you don't already, I mean, this channel's way smaller than those channels, but those certainly were highlights. And again, those are highlights because you meet new people, you do something that you've never done before, you go out and you learn how to kind of do the live stream thing and what you got to do with all their technology that you can't see in the live stream that exists all around you. And of course, hanging and drinking with friends that you don't see from out of town. So all of that's a ton of fun. Over the next maybe couple weeks, as stories just kind of pop into my head, I'll throw them out there if they're relevant to the topics that we're looking at. But that's kind of the Vegas update. I think I played every one of my decks except Mistform Ultimus because I just didn't play it, which is sad because it's really pimp deck. Like, it's all foils. I didn't play Arixmethes, the Slumbering Isle, because a bunch of the cards were actually used in Hogak. I have a Hogak deck now from the Vegas Rotisserie charity event that we did when we were there. And I'm thinking I really like Hogak, so I think I might actually take, not the Arixmethes deck apart, but I'm going to change that deck to lean a little bit more into the blue control style build that I'd like it to be. And I'll port a little bit more of the Elf Ball green creature strategy into the Hogak deck, because that deck is a ton of fun. And it was actually good for a $200 like draft deck. It was really good. So again, I'll probably talk more about that. I think a few weeks ago on Commander Ad Populum, I had mentioned that I'll probably do like my first deck tech on the Hogak deck, but we just did a mini deck tech of it on Commander Cookout, and I think I'm going to test it or tweak it a little bit so it's the deck that I really want, and then I'll do a proper deck tech on it for here. So keep an eye out for that, because it'll be a ton of fun, and I'd love to share my build, or if you have any Hogak experience outside of Modern, let me know for sure at CADPopcast on Twitter and Facebook. Just check the thread for episode 18. So that's the Vegas experience. It's a ton of fun. I highly recommend that anybody go to whatever Magic Fest you have access to, and go to as many as you can, because lots of fun to be had there. We're going to move along to the technical section now, but we're going to switch things up a little bit with this section too. We're going to do it a little bit differently than we've done it in the past, and I've got a couple questions that I've been thinking about lately, and I want the people out there that listen to this show to help me answer them. So let's get into that in just a quick sec. Okay, I am back. I've got a black cherry Diet Pepsi, or wild cherry Diet Pepsi. Not quite as good as I remember, I don't know. Anyways, we're back now. This is our technical section, but I want to put a little bit of a community twist on it. Usually this section serves the newer portion of the listenership or the player base that want to get better at playing Magic, but this time I want to attack it a little bit differently, because I saw a post from Channel Fireball Events. They are CFB Events on Twitter, or at CFB Events, and they were asking about everybody's command zone or commander area experience. Specifically, the conversation that was a result of their post highlighting the commander area was, what can we do better? The semantics of the thing are, I think, worth touching on, because we've got some time. You buy a pass to the command zone, and it's like $60 or $100 or whatever it is. I don't remember. I think it's $60. Let's just say that's what it is. And you get a 4-day pass. You could also pay $40 and get a 1-day pass. So it's like more than half as much, and you only get 1 day. I think that if you're showing up the day of the event, there should be an option to buy in based on the remaining number of days, right? Make it some cash amount divisible by 4, because it's a 4-day event. And if you miss the first day, you only need to pay for 3 days or 2 days or 1 day, or just have a 1-day fee that's worth, 1/4 of how much it costs. So it doesn't make you feel bad, or like you're getting wrung out for more money than somebody who bought the big package. Do you know what I mean? So that would definitely be a thing that I would change. That's just semantics. The other thing was there was these wristbands that you had to wear, and they were super tight and uncomfortable. I just put mine on the strap of my backpack, but then the judge can't see it if it's sitting on the floor, so I got asked a bunch, right? Make it something to do with the lanyard that you gave us. Like, there was nothing to do with the lanyard, and no, you didn't have to wear it, and it didn't mean anything that you got it. Maybe tie your command zone access to the lanyard. And then the second thing about that I really thought was a good idea that I heard people talking about was you could give out stickers or punch the card on the lanyard for every all the games that you've played. And then that's almost like a badge of honor when you play a ton of games in the command zone. Maybe give out 2 stickers, or a winner's sticker, or 2 punches on a hole puncher if you won your game. And that demonstrates that you not only played lots, but then you get more stickers or punches if you win. You don't necessarily need to give out more prize tickets or anything that makes it super competitive, but it does incentivize people to try and win. Maybe that's a bad idea because you're giving somebody extra to win, and for the casual portion of the command zone, maybe that's not the thing that we should be promoting. But there was a casual specific area that was marked with a sign, and there was a competitive area that was marked with a sign. I thought that was awesome. One of the things that I saw in this Channel Fireball post on Twitter was somebody suggested that there should be a teaching area or an area dedicated to helping new players further their game. And I 100% agree, and I stated as such on Twitter. And then there was people who commented under that saying they would volunteer. And there are even groups in the Magic community that are solely dedicated, like @MagicKids on Twitter, is solely dedicated to developing after-school programs, let's call them after-school programs, to teach people how to play Magic and organize collections. And I think that's great. And you can contact those people as an event organizer, Channel Fireball events, and get them to do it for you. You don't even need to staff it. You've already got a staff that is already willing, able, and experienced in doing this. And I think that would be great. There was plenty of room at the venue to have that kind of thing exist in the command zone. I think that would be great. I'm going to carry on with that conversation through the Commander Ad Populum Facebook and Twitter accounts. What would you like to see in, whether it's a command zone like exclusive access type place or at a Magic Fest at large? Would you like to see a teaching area? Would you like to see an area that is exclusively dedicated to making kids better or making people better Magic players in general? And then who would you like to run that? Would you like judges to do it, or would you like volunteers who have experience in working or teaching kids, or teaching people, I should say? Who would you like to run it? And then outside of that, what else do you think would be a good include to encourage new players to get out of the house or step away from the table where they're sitting by themselves because they're too shy? What would encourage those people to go out and find games? There were several times that I approached people who were sitting by themselves this weekend and say, hey, do you want a game? Where are your friends? Let's jam. Let's sit down. And lots of times people, like I know I played with one younger gentleman who all of his friends were there to play in the Modern Main event. So we sat down and had a game, and it was totally fun. So what kind of stuff does Channel Fireball need to put into place to encourage people to bring their outside family members that don't play or who are new to the game, that think that there isn't anything at a Magic Fest because there's only experienced players there? Do you know what I mean? People don't want to show up because they think that everybody there is better than them or that they're not good enough. And it's totally not like that, right? And is it something as simple as what they have already done with the big signs that said, come here for casual play, come here for competitive play? Or outside of the Commander area, there was like Legacy Lane or Pauper Corner or whatever they called it. There was kind of signs on the tables to denote what kind of games you were looking for. Variant Village, if you wanted to play some variant. They were all alliteration like that, which I super appreciated. It was cool to see. What else can they do to encourage that? Is it as simple as providing, I don't know, accommodations, like not sleeping accommodations? They're not going to buy you a room to come to their event. But I mean, if there was an area that was more inviting or conducive to, like I said before, kids, do they need to have water around, or do they need to have like people in white lab coats signifying that they're a teacher to raise awareness that this is where I should go to learn? What do they got to do? What do they got to do to bring these newer players, to get them out of the house or get them away from the table by themselves? They show up and they're overwhelmed because there's literally thousands of people in this 1 million square foot building, especially in Las Vegas. The convention center is like bigger than some small towns. It's so huge. So those are the questions that I'd like to get answered on the Commander Ad Populum Twitter feed, at CADPopcast on Twitter, and by searching Commander Ad Populum on Facebook, or even by sending me just an email if it's a little bit longer form, or if it's an idea that you've just been bouncing around and you'd like to talk in private. You can shoot me an email, cadpopcast@gmail.com. Let me know what's on your mind. If you were at the event or have experience with the Commander area that was there, the Commander party, the social, if you have any really good, family-friendly for those Commander party people, stories, get at me. I'd love to tell your story. Or if we met up and we discussed kind of what you do already, get at me. I'm still waiting to hear from you. I'd love to tell your story. This is Commander for the people, and you are the people. That all being said, I think it is time for me to wrap this one up. Sorry, everybody, for the lack of set retrospective this week. Again, there was just no time to really delve into the set and get a feel for it because I do have a lack of sleep that I'm contending with, and of course, some backed up work now because I had picked up some commissions at the Magic Fest. Thank you to anybody and everybody who wanted to look through my altar binder or purchase any altars from me or give me any cards as commissions. I have them. I'm working on them. It's very exciting for me to get a bunch of new work and actually have to schedule it all in to fit it in a timely manner. Most people don't like doing that for their job, but I'm one of the lucky few out there that does both enjoy my job and enjoy being busy. So big thank you. Continued thanks to all the patrons and the couple new patrons this week. Very much appreciate that. And big thank you to FusionGamingOnline.com for all of your, I'm going to say your commander needs again because we didn't do a set retrospective, all of your future Magic Fest needs. And if there's a card that you need, they've probably got it. You can check them out. And of course, if you are looking to avoid international shipping charges, I don't usually talk about this on the show, but this is a thing that I've been setting up a lot with people who are looking to send me cards. If you don't want to pay to have your card shipped overseas and take a whole ton of time or paying the international postage charges on your cards, you can actually purchase cards from Fusion Games and have them shipped right to me. They're really close geographically to me, and I've had cards arrive in as little as 3 days. Cheap shipping, quick delivery, and a really quick turnaround time on the altar because I can usually fit it in as like the first altar of the week and I ship it out to you same week before F&M on Friday. So that's super awesome for me to be able to do that for everybody. If you're interested in getting your own commissions done, of course, I would encourage you to check out patreon.com/cadpopcast because there is some benefits to patrons in the form of discounts on my kind of starting price and shipping discounts, and of course all the other benefits that you get for being a patron. Finally, huge thank you to everybody who interacted with me at Magic Fest Las Vegas, whether it was a message or a Discord message or a text or whatever it was saying, have a good time, safe travels. Anybody that I met at the GP, anybody that was interested in Commander Cookout or Commander at Populum, any offers I got from other content creators to meet up and record some content, all of that means a whole ton to me because this project is just me. Any awareness or retweets, that does actually help a whole ton, more than most people know. I say that a lot on Twitter, but even just a like or a retweet or a share does mean a whole ton because you're bringing other people into my world, and it just makes me so happy that we're all kind of growing together and as a community, and there's so much encouragement, and to finally meet some of you guys and meet new people that I've never met before. It's all been great. It's been a great week, and I'm going to spend the next week planning our future episode. Again, some collaborations with other content creators, people that I've met in Vegas as well, and I can't wait to share a whole bunch of what's on the docket. So I'll see everybody next Wednesday.